is Justina, and one of my most recent favorite hobbies is crocheting, so I thought it would be nice to show you everything I've managed to crochet during my pregnancy. So I'm currently 39 weeks pregnant, so here at the end. So I was able to crochet a lot of different items. I did some amigurumi and I also did some clothing pieces, although clothing pieces were a bit more difficult to make because I didn't know what size I would end up being, so I didn't really want to invest too much time on that, but I did manage to make a few of them, and I've been crocheting for about 2 years now. And since then I've been on a crochet kick. I really enjoyed it, and last year I started also making some amigurumi, so now I'm crocheting just a lot of different items, and I also started knitting this year, so there's one item that I've knitted, but that's still something I'm learning to do. We can start with this first little guy. So I made this little bunny for like an Easter or spring bunny with a little tulip. Tulips are one of my favorite flowers, and I just thought it was really, really cute. So that's one item. And I also made this teddy bear. This is actually one of the first things I made when I found out I was pregnant. Just a little teddy bear that could be for the baby or just, you know, as a display until she's a bit older. So yeah, just thought it was really fun to make such a cute little bear. Then one of the most recent things I actually made, which is also probably the biggest item, is this really cute turtle. So it's this little mint greenish blue with a pink shell, and I just thought this was really pretty. I have made other turtles, which I'll show you in a second, but I did want to try to make it like a bit bigger, so I think it worked out pretty well, although I think I did attach the back fins the wrong way, but I still think she's really, really cute. And then speaking of turtles, I have two here. I also made another one, but I gave that to my friend, so I'm just left with these two guys. So this one I made for my husband, a little blue one, and then for myself, a little green one. I just think they're really adorable, and I know they're quite popular, so just thought it would be fun to make a little turtle family. And with that blue velvet yarn, I also made this heart for Valentine's Day for my husband. Just thought it was a really nice, like, stress ball, and I think it's really pretty and cute. Then for the fall time, so last year in the fall I made this little pumpkin guy. I like to make amigurumi to match the season, so I had like the little Easter spring one, this little fall one, and then the turtle I would classify it as being a summer one, so I don't have anything specific to the winter, but just thought it would be really fun, and I really loved this stitch. It's kind of ribbed stitching. Yeah, thought it looked really, really nice. I also recently finished this little cow head. It's like this little squishy guy. I love cows, as you can probably tell. I collect stuffed animal cows, and so I thought it would be smart to make my own cow. And I also made this little octopus, this little green guy. This is, I think, the first amigurumi I ever made, and I think he's really, really cute little guy. I used like really thick yarn for this. It's really the only thing I could find in the store, and then for the other ones I used like a nicer velvet yarn once I figured out like what kind of yarn to use and stuff, but I still think he turned out really cute. He's just like a little more stiff since it's really, really chunky yarn. And then I also made these two little gummy bears. I just think they're really cute and squishy, and again, really nice for like anti-stress, and getting one for my husband and for myself. I just thought they were really cute, and they really look like the actual gummy bear seed. So. And the last amigurumi I made during my pregnancy is this little kitty cat, which I just think is really adorable, and again really squishy, like a little loaf. And I actually finished her this morning. So yeah, just thought she was really cute and pretty. All right, so I think I will go into the accessories and then we'll probably end with clothing, which I think is usually the most exciting part. So I made these two little phone bags. This is a little black one I made. I don't know if you can see it, and there's a little button right here. So with the strap and a button. And I also made like a pocket inside. If you can, I know it's black so it's really hard to tell, but there's a little pocket in here. So I really love using this. I use this especially when I go traveling and I don't want to carry a purse with me. I just will put my phone in here and keys or my earbuds or chapstick or really anything in this little pouch. So this is very practical and I use it all the time. We've had the chance to visit a lot of countries during my pregnancy actually, and I've had this with me every single time, so definitely recommend doing something like this. I did use the cotton yarn. Actually, I do use cotton yarns primarily. That's the only yarn I use except for the amigurumi. I do use that velvet yarn for that, but for everything else I always use cotton yarn. And because of that, it like stretches quite a lot, or at least for me I found it stretched a lot because I had a phone in here. So that's just something to watch out for when you make it. I feel like the strap is a bit too long now, but it's fine because I can just like tie a knot and make it tighter. I also made another one, which my mom actually ended up taking because she really liked it. So then I made myself another pink one so that I would have two. So this is the most recent one I made, and I think it's really pretty. I really love this stitch. It was made with half double crochets. Half double crochet, feel like V stitches. So I was skipping and chaining in between, and I really like this. I think it's really pretty. I was using scrap yarn to make this, and yeah, just really like the purple and the pink. And I also made the strap a bit thicker, which I think was one thing that I would change on the black one, is I made it a bit too thin. Also, I think it just stretched out a lot, but for this one I also didn't make the little clasp, and I also didn't make a pocket inside. I'm not sure if I will end up adding that. I haven't needed to do that yet. I feel like this has been useful as well, but I do really like the pocket inside because it's very practical not to have like your keys scratch your phone, and just have like an easier access. Then kind of with accessories, I did make a scrunchie. So this is a cute little pink one. I also made it this morning actually. It's the same yarn that I used for the cat. So yeah, just thought it was really nice. It was also made out of scrap yarn. And I think that's a really good tip. If you have scrap yarn, you can really make a lot of scrunchies with it because scrunchies don't usually take up that much. And I just think they're really pretty, and you can make them how big you want, however full you want. And also you can make them like to match. Like for example, if you make a top and you have scrap yarn, you can make like a matching scrunchie. That's what I've done before, and I think it's just really fun and it really adds to your outfit. So then I also made these two little drawstring bags, which I think are very practical. It's like this, and then you just like pull it in, and this one, and then I made a bigger one, and these are both made out of scrap yarn, so that's why, especially this one, the colors are a bit crazy. I just really wanted to use up a lot of scraps this year. So, but like 2 months ago, I decided to go through all my scraps and try to come up with projects that I can make with them if I had enough to do something. And so I thought these drawstring bags are perfect. And actually in this one, I hold the ends of yarn. I don't know if you can tell it, but like whenever I have like little tail ends when I'm cutting the yarn off, I like to keep that and then add that together with the filling into the amigurumi. And here I did use a pattern for it, although I did use a different stitch, so I kind of used just the pattern to make it the base. And then I went into the back loop to kind of make this ridging here. And for the main stitch, I think I just used half double crochets. I again was trying not to make it too holy, because in the tutorial that I was using, they were using, it was kind of a bit too holy, I think, for myself, but it was very useful to see how to like make the drawstring part, because I had no idea how to do that. So did really like that video, but for myself I wanted to make it again a bit more dense. And I was holding double yarn to make this because I was trying to really get rid of as many scraps as possible. And same with this one. So this is kind of like a project bag, so again it has the same functionality. And yeah, it's very colorful, has a lot of different colors. You can probably tell which colors I usually crochet in when it comes to clothes. So there's blues, greens, and pinks, and purples. It's basically my favorite color palette, and it's the same. It has a little base with the ridging, and I again used half double crochets. And right now I'm actually holding a project in here. I'm making, so this is not something I finish, and I don't think I will be able to finish it before I'm done being pregnant, but I'm working on a cardigan, so this is all I have so far. It's like a ribbed cardigan made out of half double crochets in the back loop. And what I like about this bag, which again I just thought it was smart to do, I added this little pocket inside here where I keep my scissors, my hook, and my measuring tape. So again, it's not like all together with the yarn, but it's separated. So I do really, like, I find it always like really fun to come up with ways to take a pattern and then see how to like personalize it. So I really like adding like little pockets and stuff like that, because they're honestly fun to make. Like you can just make a square or rectangle separately and then just sew it in or crochet it in. And yeah, I think these are very practical. And again, I was using all scrap yarn for this, so I was able to get rid of a lot of scrap yarn. It's also holding double in this one, and it's really cute. So yeah, win-win for me on that. And next we have this really pretty piece. It's made with like a ripple stitch, and I've had like a lot of this blue variegated yarn for a while, like different kinds, and I didn't really know what to do with them. And so I made actually a baby blanket with it. I don't have the baby blanket with me. It's actually already in the car. It'll be used for the car seat, so it's prepared, you know. But I actually had leftover, and I still have a bit of leftover yarn from that. I had 2 balls of yarn of each color, so 100 grams of each color, so quite a lot. So I made the big blanket, and then I was like, okay, well then I really like how it turned out, how the baby blanket turned out, so I wanted to make myself a scarf because I thought that would be very useful, because I didn't really want to make like a top out of it because it's a bit wild, but I was thinking a scarf would be very practical. So I can unravel it, what it looks like. So it's like this. I just think it's really pretty, and I didn't do as many repeats as for the blanket. Of course, the blanket is wider, but it's also shorter, and you can just wrap it around once, so it's not really that long, but it's exactly like how I wanted it to be. I like wearing my scarves just wrapped once, and then I could even tie it here if I wanted to, but honestly I just like to leave it like this. And I just think it's really, really pretty, and I had a really fun time making this, and I just love the stitch and how the colors play, and how it's like an unexpected kind of combination or color story. And I definitely would want to make some more in the future. So if you have some variegated yarn left over, or any kind of tie-dye colorful yarn, I would definitely recommend making it as a ripple stitch, because I just think it really brings out every color and it looks really pretty. And I've even seen some people make like adult size blankets with it too, which I think that would be very, very pretty as well. Talking about blankets, I actually did make a blanket. This is the first blanket I made, and the only adult ones, because the other one being the baby one. And this is also made out of scrap yarn. So as again, one of my goals to reduce scrap yarns, I wanted to think of a way to use them up, and actually I had quite a lot of scraps, as you can see. So I tend to like I tend to like underbuy how much yarn I need for a specific project, and then I need to go and rebuy it, and then I rebuy too much. So then at the end of the day, I'm still left over with more. Hence why there's quite a lot in here as well. And I did also get a lot of yarn for my birthday in August. And so I had some yarn that I didn't know what to do with, so I also put it in here. So it's not just scraps, but it's primarily scrap yarn. So yeah, I'll show you. It's very soft. Again, it's cotton, just like everything else any kind of clothing accessories I've shown you, they're all made out of cotton. So here you can see kind of what it looks like. I just think it's really pretty. It's kind of like springtime, Easter color palette, which I just find very beautiful. And of course, this can be used all year round. And as for the granny square, here you can see it a bit more. And I just connected them with a purple scrap yarn that I've had lying around for a while. So yeah, this was definitely a really big project for me to work on, but it took me about, I would say 4 months to make, because it's not like I was working on it, consistently. I was just making the squares here and there, and whenever I found some more scraps, or I finished a project and I saw that there were scraps left over and enough of them to make at least, I think I made nine of each color. So I did have to have a lot of scraps for it. Yeah, so it wasn't just like that there was just one skein left, or one ball left. I did have to use, I believe, 2 balls of yarn, so of each color, to make around 9 of them, I think, maybe even a bit more. So yeah, but I'm really proud of myself for making this beautiful blanket. Again, it brings me a lot of memories because I was working on it throughout most of my pregnancy, and I think it's just really pretty. Obviously very practical, and it's also just very soft. I used the combination of yarn. I basically get all my yarn on Hobby, and I use their Friends cotton yarn, as well as their rainbow cotton, I believe, and We Love Yarn, because all of those 3 are from Hobby, and I really love all their cotton yarn. It's very, very nice, very soft, and yeah, just cozy. And maybe it's not as big as I would have hoped. Like, it's more kind of like a lap blanket, like a little bit bigger than a lap blanket. It's not like so big that you could like sleep under it, unless you're a bit shorter than I am. But again, I didn't really want to have to buy so much additional yarn for it. The point was to use up all my scraps, and then if I was missing some colors or just a little bit of yarn, I just bought that one. But I didn't want to really just buy all the new yarn for this blanket. So yeah, so it came out the size that it came out to be, but I still think it's very nice. I believe it's 9 by 9, so I made 81 of these squares. It's really fun. Also, whenever we were traveling, I would just take a color with me and just work on it. So I have a lot of memories of what country we were in when I was making which color. So it just brings back a lot of memories, and I'm sure I will cherish this blanket for forever. So really like it a lot. All right, now we get into the last part, the fun part. So the clothing. So as I did mention before, I didn't really make too many clothes. I love making clothes. That's actually what I started off making when I started crocheting, and that's really my passion. I mean, here you can see I have some clothes that I made prior to that. I love making cardigans. That's probably my favorite thing to do, but also I love making shirts and tank tops. And I plan on doing all that as soon as I'm done being pregnant. But I did still make a couple of items. So here I have 3 different tops that I did end up making. So, which is still like, you know, a lot of things that I've accomplished, I would say, in the 39 weeks. So I can start with this first one. So I made this t-shirt. It's quite big. I think I made it a bit too big, but I was just experimenting or trying to figure out a way to make like a boxy kind of fit, and I really like this one because it's two of the same panels just attached in the middle, so it's actually just like rectangles. I didn't even make a sleeve part. I did watch a tutorial on how to make the stitch, and yeah, I do like it. I can try it on again. I think it's a bit too big. I think I always exaggerate with the sizing, even though I do measure everything and stuff, but I mean, I still have worn this quite a lot during my pregnancy. In general, I think it's quite cute, and it's the same in the front and in the back, the v-neck, so it's a v-neck in the back as well. And then I have two long sleeve shirts as well that I've made. So I made this turquoise with snowflakes. Now this one was really hard to figure out, because the thing is, I usually get inspired by a YouTube tutorial, and then like halfway through I end up like basically changing half of the pattern to the point where I just make up my own stuff. But I really like watching them for like inspiration, but I've never like followed a YouTube tutorial all the way through for like clothing, because I always have like a specific vision in mind, or I know like what would fit me best, and usually like the tutorials are not suited for like the way I want it to be. But I got inspired by someone who made like a snowflake cardigan, but I didn't want to make it as a cardigan, I wanted to make it as a top. So I just didn't leave the middle part open, but then also the snowflake that they used was not, I didn't like it that much, so I had to find like a different tutorial on how to actually make the granny square snowflake. So then at the end of the day I actually just ended up doing it all myself. So I just made 4 in the front, 4 in the back. Sorry, it's a bit wrinkled because I have washed this quite a lot. And then for the sleeves, I was debating for a very long time if I wanted to make it continuous, so making the sleeves with snowflakes as well. But it was really hard to find, like, to make it with the granny squares. Like, the sleeves would have been a bit too big if I attached 2 granny squares on each side, if that makes sense. And so then I just went with a double crochet sleeve instead, and I made it from thicker to thinner, and then I made a little ribbing band. This is actually doing front and back post double crochets on the ribbing, and I also did the same thing on the here on the collar and on the hemline, and then on the other one as well. And it was really hard to figure out how to do half of these snowflakes. That took me a really long time because, again, there was no tutorial on it, and I just didn't know how to make it. Like, I would say I'm quite good at crocheting like now, but I'm not like an expert by no means. Like, I've, you know, just been doing it for about 2 years, so I was trying really hard to figure out how to do like half of it, and I think it turned out like really well, nice at the end. It is quite cropped, as you can see. I didn't want to make it too long because of my growing belly. I didn't know like how it would be and stuff. And I did wear this a lot during the winter time. And yeah, I would probably have made it a bit longer, or should have made it a bit longer. But also the thing always with me is like I'm worried that I'm gonna run out of yarn, so I make things like too short, but then like too wide. So, but I actually think this one is perfect width, and also the sleeves I'm very proud of because, again, I just made it myself. Like, I didn't use a tutorial on the increases or the decreases, so I was just trying to kind of experiment, and I am really proud of it. And I think the concept is really nice. I do see myself making some more in the future, maybe with a different motif, and making them a bit longer probably. And then the last top that I made was this really pretty top. I don't know if you can tell, but it has some glitter in it. So it is cotton, but it has 5% polyester in it for the glitter. And because of that, it is quite hot. Like I prefer crocheting 100% cotton, but I just really thought it would be pretty, and I've never used like a color, like glitter yarn, and so I did this, and this is again completely free-handed. I added these little slits on the sides, which I think are very pretty, and this kind of deep, not really deep v-neck, but like wide neck, which I think is very, very flattering. And on the sleeves, I don't think they are perfect. I made this one actually for the one I just showed you, and so I think that's why the other one turned out better, because I learned my lessons from this one, and I just did a regular ribbing, I believe just single crochet, no, half double crochet into the back loop, and the same for the top part, and for the bottom part. And this was really fun to make. I have a lot of nice memories of our travels. So I was working on this primarily on our trip to Singapore, or not to our trip in Singapore, but like in Singapore. I was working on it by the pool, and so again, it has like a lot of nice memories attached to it, and I think it looks very festive and chic, especially with the glitter. I feel like it's a really nice, you know, for the Christmas time or New Year's. And here you can kind of see the slits, and it's a bit hard, especially now with my growing belly. It's also quite cropped, although it's a bit less cropped than the other one. I think I would have probably, or I should have made it a bit longer, but I just didn't know how long to make things. But I do really like this concept, and honestly, it was very fun to be creative. And it's just made out of half double crochets, and I believe half double crochets are my favorite stitch because I basically make everything with them. And how I managed to get this kind of airy texture was actually by using a bigger hook. So I believe I used a 4mm hook on it, on a super fine yarn, because actually most of the yarn I used is super fine, so it's a level 1 yarn. And yeah, because of that, it looks like kind of airy, it looks holey even in a way, but when you wear it, like, you can't really see through anything. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and definitely again recommend if you want to freestyle, just go ahead and test it out. Maybe it won't work out the way you wanted to, but you're gonna learn a lot from it, and of course you can unravel it or frog it and, you know, redo it until it's perfect. So just really enjoyed that. So those are the 3 tops I made. So lastly, I just have 2 more items to show you. One of them is knit and one of them is crochet. So these are both cardigans. So I again have very fond memories of making this cardigan. So it's just black and green, so those are my 2 favorite colors, as maybe you can tell. And I, again, freestyled it, just made, again, half double crochet squares, many of them. And then in the front, as you can tell, I made half. So I made 1 full one and then half of it, so that I could add this ribbing band and these buttons, and then make it as a closable cardigan. So I can show you it on. This one is quite stiff. I used a thicker yarn for this, which again, I prefer working with thin yarn, but I still really like it. It's just because it's cotton and because it's a thicker yarn, I feel like the material is not really that soft or flowy, but still enjoy it. So I think it's really cute. And again, I think it's a bit too short. Everything I'm making lately, it's a bit too short. It has these buttons, but basically I was working on this. Really, I made it within a week. Actually, I did it for a work trip I had, actually, And I got this yarn for my birthday, and I then decided that I wanted to make a cardigan out of it, because that's the reason I bought it. And then I was like, why not just do it and finish it so that I can show it off to my work colleagues, take it on the plane with me. And so that's what I did. So this is the fastest thing I've ever made, even though it's quite a big item, I think, because it was thicker yarn. It didn't take as long as you might have expected it to take. I think it's just really, really cute. And yeah, again, I think maybe it should have been a bit bigger. And I'm not sure about the thickness of the yarn. Like, yeah, I would definitely remake this just in a thinner yarn and make it a bit longer, because it's not the most comfortable, I would say. I think it was really cute, but it's not that wearable, and it's also like super heavy. Like in general, I feel like crochet pieces are really heavy compared to knitted pieces. And again, it being thick and it being cotton, it's like, yeah, it weighs a lot for sure. All right, and then the last piece is this knitted cardigan. So this is the first really knitted item I've made, and I also just freestyled it, which maybe I shouldn't do as my first knitted item. But I don't know how to read knitted patterns yet, and I couldn't really find a tutorial for the type of cardigan I wanted to make. I wanted to use a super fine yarn, and I only have one pair of knitting needles. I think they're a size 3.25. So yeah, I couldn't find anything that like would have worked with that, and so I just decided to use the same logic I use for crochet cardigans, making rectangles. So I just made like one back panel like that, and then two rectangular panels for the sleeves. I did try to decrease a tiny bit, I don't know if you can tell. And then for the front, I just made two smaller rectangular panels as well. And this is just using regular stockinette stitch, and it's all twisted. All my stitches are twisted. I didn't even know what that meant until I finished it, and then I was like, wait a second. Something's not right. So yeah, it's going twisted, but I mean, I still think it's pretty, and because it's twisted everywhere, I feel like it's not that bad. But definitely this is an imperfect cardigan. There are a lot of mistakes on it, and it was hard for me to figure out like how to attach the sleeves. That was very hard to do. It's a very different concept than like crochet. And also it kept rolling the entire time. Like I blocked it many times and it still wouldn't stay. And so what I ended up doing is, you can tell here, I ended up sewing the rolled part thinking that would help. Well, it didn't really help that much because it still ended up rolling. So then what I did is I crocheted this ridging, like this shell ridging, as you can kind of see here, and did it on the sleeves and also on the bottom. And then I decided to add buttons right here and just have it as a closable cardigan, and with that it doesn't roll because it's on buttons. So that's what saved me, I guess. I didn't intend to make it with buttons, but that's kind of what it ended up being like. So it's quite different than what I thought it would be like, but actually I think it's quite cute. And actually now that you can button it, I could wear this even as a top. Like I wouldn't have to only wear it as a cardigan or a dress. So I don't think it's that bad for the first knitted thing I ever made. It was definitely a very long process. Like, yeah, definitely some tears were shed while trying to figure out how to do it. But I do think the end result is quite nice, and I would definitely knit some more. I will maybe make some knit tank tops in the summertime because I do like it. Enjoyed watching it. I hope it inspired you to crochet some items and maybe give you some ideas that you don't only have to, you know, crochet one specific thing. You can go and branch out and just try out different things. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.